All right. 4 minutes of dead silence is enough, I guess. Sorry, I just had to take care of some business there before I could start the show proper. And that involved me going to the bathroom. Um, so, where are we at? Not seeing a lot of people here right now, but that's all good. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do anyways, because people will catch it on the flip flop, which means they'll catch the replay, and you know, I should start editing these things. Oh, right. Well, hello. Oh, I'm so small. Let's go back here. There we go. How's everybody doing? It's Christian from the Eternal Chronicles here, bringing you another video. You know how they always do that on YouTube? Like YouTube hosts, they all seem like they're the same sort of like mold. I watch a lot of these. I don't really watch them. They're just kind of there. You almost absorb them through osmosis. Like you're not even aware that you're being bombarded by media sources constantly, and it's enough to drive one insane. A little bit insane. A little bit insane's okay. What did Al Pacino say? Keeps me on the edge, sharp where I gotta be, right? And that's right here, right now, painting miniatures with you guys. So yeah, I'm just probably going to get to painting because I didn't do any painting yesterday at all. I did a little bit of hobbying. If you watched my stream yesterday, you heard me wax about new current 40K. And if you watched my stream the day before, or last week, on last week's stream, I was painting Rogue Trader models. And if you watched my stream during October, I was painting Rogue Trader models. So I'm back to Rogue Trader models today. So yeah, let's see. So let's say yesterday I was doing just talking about new 40K. Let's talk about Rogue Trader as we paint some Rogue Trader here. Let's go over to the master shot here. So if you remember, Inquisitor Dosati here is still a work in progress. I'm essentially at the point where all I've got to finish on him are the spats over his boots. And they were a bunch of different colors, and now they're this like dark. It's basically the leather brown I use with a little bit of black, flat black mixed into it. And then I'm going to wash that very gently with Agrax Earthshade or Army Painter Strong Tone. We'll see what I sort of settle on. But those have been the contentious issues in finishing this model. It would have been finished if I just let it be, but I just wasn't pleased with the spats. They were too light, and it was causing balance issues with the character, and he kind of needs to be a bit more dark. I'm happy with the way the jacket came out, even though in hindsight, when I looked at it, it would have been cool to do that in this color that I'm doing the spats in, like a leather duster. But I like this blue. It's supposed to look like a denim, and I think it kind of does. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then his weird shotgun here thing, which I'm calling like a Xeno. It's like a Xeno shotgun or something. It's weird. And then of course he's got his trusty rusty bolter or bolt pistol. We'll see. And then of course he's probably got digital lasers hidden on him. He might even have a power weapon lightsaber force sword hidden on him somewhere, because he is a high-powered leveled psyker in the Rogue Trader universe. He's like level 20 million. I don't know what that means, but the psychic power section in Rogue Trader rulebook is pretty fantastic. It's more akin to like what would I call it? It's more like the magic user section in the Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook than it is like how psychic powers are done in current 40K, and that's a lot of Rogue Traders like that. So, no time like the present. Let's start painting him. Let's get these spats washed. And then I'll show you the other model that I'm going to finish on stream today for your viewing pleasure. Not you. Where's the other guy? Where'd I put him? I had him right here in front of me. This is technical difficulties. Please stand by. Oh, he's just right here in front of me. So this guy, this clown, with that high top cameo. Look at that flat top. Oh yeah, good time on the flat top. Hey, Inquisitor Savak in the chat saying sorry I'm late. Had to get kids on Zoom for school. Not a problem. I started without you. Hey Torben, glad to see you. You're back here. You haven't been here in a while. if you guys go back and watch I start around 4 minutes into the stream, so I've been doing this for about 4 or 5 minutes now, but I haven't really done any painting yet. I've just been talking, just been chalking. So this guy, I did his entire thing orange because I kind of want him to look like he's like an escaped convict or something. So I did that orange, and then I washed the orange with a contrast to just sort of add some shadow in there. And I'm going to go back over that. I'm going to finish this guy on stream today. He's pretty cool. But let's get Inquisitor Dosadi's spats painted so I can call this miniature done. And like I said, I'm just going to go with some Agrax Earthshade here and a brush that is appropriate for applying this. Close enough. Close enough to being appropriate. Let's get it wet a little bit. And sorry, I'm just going to move this here. You may hear something because I'm going to move the mic to get some paper towel that I moved to the side here. We'll get a little, and as you can see, today's brush is one of my finest quality. And I'm just going to wash the spats. Get them done. Get her done. Who says that? That comedian guy, Larry the Cable Guy. Doesn't he say get her done? Is that a reference that the kids will get these days? I'm trying to make myself hipper for a younger audience, but not really. Yeah, all right. The great Inquisitor Dosadi. I'm going to zoom in just a bit more. I think that's better for you guys, eh? So yeah, it's just washing these spats, making them dark. This I'm infinitely more pleased with than making them light. They just didn't look right to me. So there we go. So we'll let those cure. Put that away. Excuse me for a second. I'm just going to... I just need to wipe my nose. Hey, I'm back. All right. Okay, so our little convict here. So I'm going to get out the orange that I used, which was this volcanic orange. And I will grab probably a yellow. So a little bit of that orange. And then some of my favorite, one of my favorite paints to use to mix up anything is this mustard yellow. So, and the reason I'm going with a mustard yellow as opposed to highlighting them up with like one of these more brighter yellows is that it's cloth, right? It's a cloth material, so I want it to look a little bit more natural. If I go like straight from like this orange that you're about to see, that brush is not the brush I want to use. Sure, here we'll get another fantastic high quality brush here. Look at that. Oh my god. So yeah, so if I go from just this yellow up to like a light, or this orange, sorry, up to a light yellow, to me it's just not gonna look proper. All right, mixy mix. So, and here I'm just sort of following the guide of the shade, so of the shadows that have been created by the wash. This is a little bit too much yellow. Too yellow to start. Let's go back, make that a bit more orange. Yeah, that's fine. And again, this is highlighting 101 really. going and applying it on sort of the raised up areas, keeping those shadows that you created with the wash, and just sort of working those raised areas to bring them up a little bit more without, I don't know, just keeping it natural, because you're creating an artificial depth, right? You're creating a depth that isn't actually there because it's a 28 millimeter model. To explain why we highlight miniatures, you know, I guess is what I'm doing. No, not really. Am I doing a good enough job? We'll see. There we go. So that's that leg, and I'll probably bring that up. I'll do one more layer of highlights on it after I've done the whole model. So I'm going to go over them once. Anything that's going to stay this jailbird orange, and then we'll go over it again. So cool little model. This guy is actually pretty old. His base tab says 87. He was one of the first batch of like adventurer pirates that they released for Rogue Trader. This model was among them, which is why I picked this one as the one to do next. Also because of that high top cameo. I mean, that hair, you have to go to, you know, I mean, think about how hard that hairstyle is to maintain given his lifestyle as a space pirate. I mean, maybe they have space pirate boutiques where he can go, space pirate salons where he can go and have his hair attended to. Lord knows I know to go to a space pirate salon and get my hair attended to. We'll see. So hopefully you can all see this very well. I'll take a look at the chat in about a minute once I sort of finished up here, and we'll see what y'all are doing, what y'all are saying, because it's kind of what this show is about. I should do like an AMA. Be like, ask me anything about any of my stupid opinions. Let's just leave religion and politics out of it, right? Friendly dinner conversation. I think maybe that's a problem in our society today, is that we've forgotten to maintain the etiquette around friendly dinner conversation. And that, or maybe it's a good thing that we don't. No. I don't know. Alright, so we're getting some orange up at the back here. And then these, like, he kind of styled his shirt in some way because it's got these like tassels hanging down. I'm doing them orange right now. They may not make sense. Like now it looks like he just took his t-shirt, like he took his jacket shirt and just like cut tassels into the sleeves, which if you've ever been to summer camp, you've done that, right? All right. So I'm just going to quickly address the chat for a second here. Good to see Torben back. Good to see Inquisitor Shavak here. Flat top has to be blonde like Guile. Well, it might be. It may clash with the orange, but yeah, I was thinking something like Guile. See, that's why I thought, well, maybe I'll do it like green. The flat top's going to be something. I also thought about doing it black, like it's just like. I just finished up a Jess Goodwin Melnibonian last night and quite chuffed about him. Awesome, I'd love to see him. I just happen to have these sitting over here. A whole bunch of Melnibonians. So these are the archers and the spearmen. I love this spearman. I love this like demonic mask. And you see they're all in hex spaces because I'm balling like that. I should have an Elric over here somewhere, although I have a painted one and an unpainted one. The painted one's put away. And I have... What else do I have? That's pretty much it. Just Elric and a bunch of the Melnibonian infantry. I want it. I bid on an eBay auction for the Eternal Champions box set, but it became too rich for my blood, so I'm happy with not winning that particular auction. But yeah, that's a set I would love to get my hands on. Is the original Eternal Champions box. I said I have a few Elrics, and then I also have the Dragon Master's Dragon, which is potentially would have been a Stormbringer miniature. If I have this theory that if things had gone the way that certain people at Games Workshop wanted them to go, Warhammer would have become like the Stormbringer miniature game. And you can even see in a lot of the early sort of ideas for it. Before there was really a setting, it was certainly built around the idea of setting it in the Michael Moorcock multiverse. But that's just a baseless theory based on my own imagination. The problem is everything is behind a chat like this, and no one is going to punch you in the face. True, the anonymous nature of the web really has made a mess of social norms. I guess it could be black like Duke Nukem's. Isn't Duke Nukem? Oh, Duke Nukem was blonde as well. I could call this guy Duke Nukem. He'd need would Duke Nukem have like a red shirt and black pants? I can't. I'd have to look up a picture of Duke Nukem. But I'm just gonna call this guy Jailbird. It's funny. Back in the day, I visited my cousins down in Alameda. They live in California, and this was 1984, a long time ago. It's the first time I ever flew on an airplane by myself down to visit my cousins down there, and I flew Air Hawaii, Buffalo, New York to San Francisco, and their neighbors, their last names were the Jaybirds, and I misheard it and thought it was Jailbirds. So I thought, well, why are they living next door to Jailbirds? Like are they in jail? And then it turns out one of them, the son, was in jail. And, well, that was an awkward summer. Not really, but I just thought it was funny. And I remember that to this day for some reason, that the Jaybirds were Jailbirds. And I thought that they were Jailbirds. Those things that you never forget, despite them really not having much of any sort of bearing on your life. So I'm just washing the metallics on them now. As you can see, this is just black. The reason I'm doing metallics on the shoulder pads is because that orange is going to have a significant amount of color already to it, so I kind of want something else that's gonna tone it down a bit. So, and I figure he probably scavenged this armor from a junk heap anyways, right? So if anything, I'll put like some like chipped paint on it, like it came from a uniform or something, but now it's wound up on a trash pile on some godforsaken planet, and some god emperor forsaken part of the galaxy. Is that his collar? I have no idea what that is. Oh, I think that is his collar. And I painted it metallic. I'm gonna have to paint that orange. Why did I do that? Oh, because his hair, he's got... Okay, so not only does he have a flat top cameo, but it's a mullet, because his hair goes long. He's got the short longs going on in the back here. But I'm gonna paint the collar here, because that should actually be orange. And not metallic. I'm not sure what I was doing. And his collar comes right up here. Pops out, actually. It's got the popped collar going on. Popped collars. Okay, well that's interesting. All right. I didn't see any link, Torben, so I don't know if you sent it or not, but I guess I don't know. You can send it to Eternal Chronicles on Facebook, and I can look at it there. All right. How about those shoes? Oh, I see what I did there. I actually put some really light blue. I guess I was going to do those shoes black. So let's do that, because that's clearly where I was headed with that. Blonde Joe Dirt, Billy Ray Cyrus. Billy Ray. So, confession time, Billy Ray Cyrus. I've been watching a lot of Hannah Montana recently. Not with my kid or anything, just by myself. No. Because my daughter is like going through that phase where she's watching Hannah Montana. So Billy Ray Cyrus plays her father and on the show. And he had a big hit back in the 90s, which was Achy Breaky Heart. So he's basically playing himself, even though the whole premise of the show, which is ridiculous, is that Hannah Montana is actually Miley Stewart, and my daughter gets a kick out of the fact that we have the same last name as Hannah Montana's character, or Miley Cyrus's character on the show Hannah Montana. Hannah Montana is her nom de guerre, right? Her stage name, but her real identity is Miley Stewart, and it's a secret. But Miley Stewart is still the daughter of a famous singer. You know what, Disney? Seriously, get your act together. What I'm saying. Oh, okay. Let's put a little bit more wash down here. We're gonna have to do his skin shortly. And then his belt as well here. What's this little thing? It's a lighter. So we can grab some leather for that. Hellbent for leather. That's fur, not leather. Leather. So if it's a mullet, blonde, Joe Dirt. We'll see. We'll see. I think it's gonna end up probably being black. We'll see. We will see. So this is just some leather that I'm going to put on his pouches on the back here. Pouches by Rob Liefeld. And then his belt, which kind of goes up in here. You can kind of see it a little bit. The underside. All right. I'm going to do his skin now. So I'm going to get out my trusty rusty shadow. Cool, Torben. Give me 2 seconds, and I'm going to go and take a quick look. Manage my page. Whoop. All right, let's see if I can. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I don't have that. I don't have that one. And your other stuff's awesome too. Oh, you got Fallout stuff here. Oh, you got one of these. I like this guy at the very bottom here with the face mask. What's he from? Is that a Ramshackle game model, or is that like a Colony 87 something? It's cool. He'd fit well into like a Rogue Trader sort of looking thing. The little guy with the gas mask. I like the way you've done it blue. It almost looks like it's full of something, but I'm critiquing miniatures that no one else can see on the stream right now, so let's get back to... But that's good stuff, man. Really good stuff. I'll try and figure out how I can put it onto my screen on my computer here. So, yeah, so let's do some flesh. So... what's that? He's got on his bracelet. It's Got to be careful getting the flesh in between the tasseled shirt sleeve here. That was all the rage back in the day, man. And I'm not sure what that bracelet, if it's like bracelet or gloves. He could actually be wearing gloves. No, he's wearing bracelets. Oops. Wrong paint. Inquisitor Shavak says, sorry if I'm not chatty. I'm keeping an eye on my son on Zoom and working also. Hey, no worries, man. No one needs to be obligated to engage with me in any way. It's funny, I joke to myself sometimes that really I'm streaming for myself and not really for anyone else. So, and sometimes sometimes it is that. I'll look over and it'll be like concurrent viewers 0, and I'm like, oh, I've just been talking to myself for the last 10 minutes, but it's all good. I mean, I haven't done really much beyond Facebook and Instagram to promote my channel. Also, it's not monetized, and it's certainly not in any position to be monetized. So I'm not even thinking about that. It's not even a blip on my radar right now. This is more just me enjoying my hobby and sharing the enthusiasm I have for it with like-minded chums such as yourselves. And whether you're watching this live or you're watching this in replay. And then hopefully we'll actually transition to some content that is something worthy of more than 3 concurrent viewers right now. Alright, let's put some paint on this guy's face. This guy's got pointy ears. Is this guy an Eldar? Hey. I smell a space elf. Oh, no. They're not pointy. This one just looks like it's been bitten. It's his battle scar. Damn womp rat bit my ear off. And this guy's got quite the brow on him too. He's like the other guy. I might, you know what I'm gonna have to do? I'm gonna have to paint those eyebrows. So I may end up going with a lighter color for that that flat top instead of black, because black eyebrows on a miniature looks ridiculous. It's like Groucho Marx style ridiculous. Don't ever paint your model's eyebrows black if you can avoid it. But a model like he's got such a pronounced brow, I can't just leave that as flesh. I mean, I could, it would just look weird. So I'll do eyebrows to match the hair. So maybe blonde it is, or maybe like, I don't know. Maybe he's got. Maybe I'll just do his eyebrows as like a really light blonde, light brown, and then I'll just keep his hair black anyways. It's not like the curtains have to match the drapes, right? Sorry if you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just putting some paint on the underbelly here. And by underbelly, I mean the parts of his face that you can't even see. Just want to make sure there's flesh paint on him, because that's all going to have to be washed anyways. And then repainted. Tidy it up here a bit. There we go. There we go. It's all that flesh. Alright. So we can go back and do a third, or a second, we can now do a highlight, I should say. Because we've done our base coat, we've done our wash, then we've gone back over with the base coat. Now I'm actually going to highlight the yellow, or the orange on him with this mustard yellow, just sort of mixed in. And now I'm just really sort of just trying to catch like the sharp spots and the high points and whatnots. Like the corners of pockets and things like that. Because putting a lighter color on them just helps them to stand out, right? And that's why we highlight. Just slowly inch back to the middle of the screen. It's like subtle. Oh, you know what I need to do? That I will do as soon as I finish this, so that I don't forget again, is, well, you know what? I can probably fix it right now. Bit more orange. And then we'll blend that up. For this popped collar here, I'm gonna need some. I can go in and wash that down after. Yeah, you know what? That cameo might end up being blonde. I mean, you can't have a flat top of such magnitude without making sure that it's well bleached. So yeah, I think blonde's gonna win now that I sort of see how the orange is looking. I think I can make a decision on the hair. Just get his little tassels. Woo! This guy is styling and profiling. All right. Okay, well, I'm going to wash his flesh now with some Reichland Flesh Shade. Yeah, if I can figure out, Torben, how to... because that is something that I actually want to do, is I want to have... one of the things I thought about doing on this show, and maybe not necessarily on this particular time slot sort of frame, but I would like to do, and it may be more pre-recorded stuff, where people send me photos of their miniatures and we discuss them, and you can even zoom in and you know, we can chat about your models and why you decided to paint whatever it was the way you did, and just sort of do like a little like interviews with fellow hobbyists and things like that. That was something that I thought might be fun to do, and I was going to start with my friends and then sort of branch out from there, because like even just among my gaming group, right at the top of my head, I can think about 5 or 6 of them that would be quite interesting to discuss hobby and discuss their work. Because for some reason I seem to exist in a, and it may be that other people have the same experience, but like the community of like what I would consider like my gaming group, my hobby peer group, all happen to be really good. Like for the most part, and there's a few dogs out there, and you know who you are. But I mean, for the most part, the guys that I play with and hobby with on a regular basis, or as regular a basis as you can have in this day and age, are all really good. So I don't know how I managed up to getting in there. All right. that look? Oh, he's got skin. Put him down. Let's go take a look at Inquisitor Kafka Dosadi here, because, oh yeah, the darker on the spats is definitely the way to go. And that Agrax, or that, what is it, what was I calling it? The, whatever. You know, the wash. Agrax Earthshade, yes. I don't know why I spaced on that. That's good. So I'm going to finish those with some high-level dry brushing. I'm going to dry brush? Yeah, I'm going to dry brush. So I'm going to take this is an Artist Opus series dry brush, and I think this is yak hair, they said. And it was a really small one. I've got a couple of, I've got some bigger ones, which are really nice, because they're almost like makeup brushes, but the bristles are just a little bit stiffer. So if you're into dry brushing, like I'm into dry brushing, these Artist Opus brushes are really good. So I'm just going to get some of that brown. So this is a little bit of leather brown, and I'm just going to ever so gently, you have to raise your voice when you're dry brushing. It's one of the rules. And I'll tell you right now, the secret to dry brushing is patience and a light touch. When dry brushing goes wrong, it's usually because people are pushing too hard because they're not seeing results immediately. They're not letting the results come in time. They're like, oh, this isn't working, this isn't working. Oh, I need more paint on my brush, I need more paint on my brush. Just be patient with it, man. Let it come. The dry brushing will appear if you just are reasonable with it and give it time. And it's also knowing sort of like which angle to flick the brush across to catch the detail, so that it messes with the curvature, or the, what do you want to call it? What do they call it on maps? Ugh, the word's on the tip of my tongue. It's a geographic term. A little bit less paint, thank you very much. And that's the other thing, is that knowing if you start dry brushing and you immediately see, oh, like there's too much paint, then wipe some of the paint off. But you can see there on the side of the boot, good little dry brush. And again, don't feel like you only go over it a few times. If you got to go over it a dozen times, like back, for it to sort of raise up and appear out of then that's what you got to do. Because it's a lot easier to add with dry brushing, like to add more, than it is to take it away. To take it away, it's very hard because you almost have to restart. There we go. He's got them spats. All right. Let's talk about Space Marines and power armor being encased in a large power armor. Oh, the Centurions. So I when those Centurions came out, my group and I, they became memes for us. They became just this like ridiculous, because they're probably one of the most ridiculous things in Space Marines. And I'm glad to say I did buy some, but I only bought some so that I could convert one into my chapter master for my Iron Hands army. So, and that's something I'll have to show off. So these brushes, I treat these brushes way nicer than I treat my regular painting brushes, because dry brushes are easy to ruin. And generally when I dry brush, I'm using like an older brush. These are one of the first times I've actually bought purpose-built dry brushes. Like I have this one as well. This is actually a Tamiya brush, but it's just got a really nice, and that's for painting. So brush soap, because you want to get the particles of paint that have dried, because obviously it's a dry brush, which means that there's paint inside it that is dry, and you don't want that in your dry brush. That's how you ruin a dry brush. So rinse them well. That's why I have 2 things of water. So it gets a rinse in sort of the dirt cup, and then it gets a rinse in the clean water cup. And then there you go. Ready to sit back up here. So there we go. So I am going to do a little bit more on those spats, but mainly just adding a little bit of the skeleton bone to the leather, and then we'll call those. But let's take a look back at the Jaybird here, and we can wash that. Whoop. Right across there. Whoop. Right across the bottom. Make sure you get lots of that ink into those shadows, because it's cheating and it works. It's just a good way of hiding where one thing meets another. And then whatever this thing is here, I'm just going to paint it. I'm just going to wash it black, because I'll probably make it metallic. I don't know if it's like a pocket knife or a lightsaber, or maybe he's got a roll of Skittles or something there. It's Mentos. He's got some Mentos hanging off his belt. Yeah. And then this bracelet here, I'm just going to wash that as well before I go in and paint the skin. There we go. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Let's paint that flesh. So I'm going to take, no, not that bright skin, golden highlight, but no. So there's my golden shadow. Where's my golden skin? There it is. Maybe a sonic screwdriver. Should have worn my Doctor Who shirt today. My Doctor Who is and always will be Tom Baker. There's no other Doctor Who as far as I'm concerned. And I've watched none of any of the new series. And by new series, I mean the series from the last 20 years. When was that first, like early 2004, 5-ish? Anyways, I have not watched any of that Doctor Who. But when I was a kid, I was a huge Whovian. Well, not really. I was a big fan of Doctor Who. They used to play it on public television up here. We get them usually here a little bit after they aired in the UK. And because they were on like the same channel that Sesame Street was on, they would just get left, the TV would just get left on, and I would end up watching Doctor Who. So really, Mom, this is all your fault. Look at these. Look at this brow. He was a bounder. And I made my daughter watch. I have the first Tom Baker season on Blu-ray. Because the way the BBC is releasing the old seasons of Doctor Who is very strange. Like, they're not releasing them in any sort of continuity. It's like they'll do like Tom Baker's first year, and then they'll do Tom Baker's last year, and then they'll do the guy that replaced Tom Baker his first year, and then they'll do the doctor from the earlier 70s who was like the James Bond doctor, the one with the white afro. I can't remember the actor's name, but that Doctor Who, which is not my Doctor Who, because my Doctor Who is and always will be Tom Baker. And also because Doctor Who had K9. Oh, where did I put him? Here. I have a TARDIS. Oh, there's the TARDIS. And where's K9? K9. I don't know where the K9 is, but I've got the TARDIS, and I have a little K9 because Warlord Games now produces a Doctor Who miniature game. I've got to get one of the Doctor miniatures, but the Tom Baker miniature that they had was only available in a set with a bunch of other Doctors that I didn't care for, so I didn't bother buying the entire set just for the one model. But if I can track down the single Tom Baker Doctor with his big floppy scarf, I would love to paint that up and then use it in Rogue Trader. Like, be playing a Rogue Trader game, and then all of a sudden, like, one of the things, something triggers and the TARDIS beams in, and then the Doctor gets out and goes, "Fuck this universe," and leaves. He's like, "Yeah, 40,000 years in the future of humanity? Yeah. Doctor Who's leaving right now. The Daleks got nothing on the Imperium of mankind." Or the Cybermen. The Cybermen. But that first Tom Baker season, oh, so good. So good. Doctor Who is maybe a bit, well, it's modern, that's for sure, and I like the David Tennant run. Any of the new before or after wasn't really worth the time. Yeah, like I said, I think I tried to watch, there was no reason for it, for me at least, because I wasn't really, I didn't really follow. I watched Doctor Who after Tom Baker left, but then started growing away from it. So all my childhood memories are of Tom Baker Doctor Who. So it's less, I guess, about the overall mythology and legacy of Doctor Who as much as it is just about the nostalgia that I have for that particular era of Who. Who? The Doctor. Doctor Who. All right. So last level of highlighting will be golden highlight, and then we'll call the face painted, or they'll call this the flesh done, and then we can move on from that and finish the rest of his flesh. So, and normally when I use these Reaper triads, I never go to like pure just the highlight. Like here, I'll show you my palette here. So where I have it. So here I have this is the golden skin. This is the golden shadow. So this is the base. This is the mid level, and this is the high level. So when I was, so the layer I just put on was a mix of base and the mid. And now the layer I'm putting on is a mix of the mid and the high. I almost never go pure high unless, A, it's probably a larger model. There's a lot more detail on the face. On a model that was sculpted 30 years ago, there's really no reason to go much higher than sort of halfway between the two. And even then, I'm just like tip of the nose, do the lips, which are going to get washed anyways. Cheek here, so this cheekbone, pull out this cheekbone, get those eyebrows because they're insane. And and then this cheekbone over here, and then there, and then we'll do the chin. So he's got a bit of a cleft chin, like myself. So we'll do that. We'll get the lower cheek just right here, but not really any lower. You can't even really see that. And then the tips of the ears. So again, mix between the base and the highlight. Or not the base and highlight, the mid and the highlight, and then tip of the ear. And then this ear over here. And we'll do it like that so that it looks like it's doesn't really come through on the screen. But if you pick up the model, you can kind of see that it the ear's got a bit of a break in it. I'm just gonna. You want these highlights to be as fine as possible. But again, it's about defining that face. Again, mid between the two. For the knuckles, good old knuckles. And we're just hitting tips of the knuckles just to help create that illusion. And then the elbow. And then the tips of the fingers that are holding under the gun here. And then the thumb here, just the tip of the thumb. There we go. And then the arm here as well. And where's the elbow here? Kind of there. So getting there. Even though it's in the shadow of his jacket, so we'll kind of leave it minimal. All right. So to finish that face, I need to basically do those eyebrows and those eyes. So I'm going to get out an even smaller brush. And by that I mean a slightly smaller brush. There, you can see it there. Nice little point on it. And I'm just going to grab some of this dark tone ink that I've got sitting here. And I'm going to wash his eye sockets with it. So very, very gently. A little bit of wash in there, which will help pick out the eyeball for me. So that I don't have to go in there with black paint. If I can just go in there with a black wash. Because I'm going to have to paint over the rest of it with white for the eyes. Anyways. Tiny bit more. Just right there. You know what I miss? Video stores. Do you guys miss video stores? Because I miss video stores. And while that paint in the eyeballs, in the eye sockets is drying, I'm going to take a little bit of my Reichland Flesh Shade here. And I'm going to do that bottom lip. So just a bit of Reichland Flesh Shade over the whole lip. You can't really, it doesn't really come through on camera, but trust me, it's spectacular. And then I'll put some across the bridge of his nose as well, and then up into the brow here, and then around the nose if I can. So this is the same thing I do on my orcs. If you watch me paint my orcs, it's the same sort of thing. And then under the nostrils, under the nose, and then that really helps to create. All right, are we too zoomed in here or what? There we go. All right. So I got to do the eyes, but I'm gonna pause for a second on that. I got to psych myself up for painting those eyes. Let's do his hair. So I think we're gonna go with the blonde. So I'm gonna use my favorite mustard yellow. Can't go wrong with mustard yellow. And we'll grab this brush. Now I could do this with contrasts, in which case I would paint this all bone white, like a off-white, and then wash it. But I'm gonna do it with good old-fashioned paint. So, oh yeah, I think it was always yellow. I don't think I ever thought that it would be anything else other than that. Because yeah, that's perfect. Let's get that in focus for you guys, or is that out of focus? How about I zoom out? Woo! Ever so slightly. And hopefully alright, once I get this yellow down, I'll take a look at the chat for a minute. Oops. So you gotta be careful that you guys can see. Old Jaybird here. What does the J stand for? Jail. Oh, okay. Hi, Dad. I'm in jail. Hi, Dad. I'm calling you from jail. One fake internet point to anyone who can tell me the name of the band that sings that song. Hi, Dad. I'm calling you from jail. All right. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of it, and I'm going to paint these eyebrows, because he's going to have big blonde eyebrows, because why not, right? Just want to get behind the ear here. I'll just get in there with some wash, that'll be fine. And then just finally a little bit more there. And then just a bit more there. All right. I'll let that dry. Let's see what's going on in the chat. All right, so we talked about Doctor Who. I never saw any of the original runs, so I'm coming at it without childhood nostalgia. Yeah, I'm coming at it with lots of childhood nostalgia and also, but mainly little interest. Nico says, that's an ugly mini. He doesn't look anything like you, man. I don't know what you're talking about. Alex says, Eugene Levy eyebrows. Yeah, there's some pretty intense... I think what I was saying was that they'd be... if I did them black, it would be very Groucho Marx. So, video killed the radio star, and the internet killed the world's soul. Oh my god. It hit me so that's too early in the week to hit me with something heavy like that. That's more like a Thursday, Friday sort of statement there, Inquisitor. Or at least patience is dead. This is true. Al Gore, the soul killer. What did Al Gore do? I had this horrible, horrible dream last night. There were modern plastics showcased on this channel. Woo! Oh yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Jank Mess says, Dead Milkman. There you go. One fake internet point. Was not was. Was it was not was? I don't know. I think there's a band called Was Not Was. I'm pretty sure there's a band called Was Not Was. And if there isn't, there is now. It's my band. Would you guys like to join my band? All right, so let's take a look back at our little butters here and see where we're going. I don't think he's an ugly mini. I think he's a beautiful mini. Poor Jaybird. Getting picked on. All right, so I have two options with the hair. I can wash it which will help pick out the things, or I can just do some fancy schmancy dry brushing. If I do some fancy schmancy dry brushing, it's going to look like platinum blonde, like it's going to be like a really light blonde. I almost want it to be, what could I get away with? I could probably get away with like a really light tone wash. Yeah. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm actually going to take some of my trusty rusty Army Painter light tone here, but I'm going to put a little bit of medium in it to thin it out so that it's even lighter, and we'll wash his hair with that. So quick shade wash medium and just a tiny bit, because this quick shade wash medium is actually pretty thick because it's for making wash, but you can add it to wash to kind of and it will kind of work as a bit of a thinner, but you add it very conservatively. Here you can see got my light tone, and I just put like one little splooch of the wash medium to help thin it out. And now you're going to see when I go to put it on, it's going to be nice and light. Yeah, that's what we want. Just the hint of a wash, really. And then to help sort of delineate the hair from the skin and whatnot. And we'll just put that wash over the cameo and down his little... remember rat tails? If you were a child of the 80s, you may remember rat tails, where everyone was growing rat tails. Everyone spent that one summer growing rat tails, and then wore rat tails to school, and then saw that everyone else was wearing rat tails at school, and rat tails stopped being popular. At least that's how I remember it. I don't know if that's actually the way it was. But I can remember my hair wasn't long enough to grow a rat tail, and I was really sad that I couldn't have a rat tail. So what the barber did, and I think he did this with a lot of kids, is he shaved up the back of the head so that the hairline was then higher and created an artificial hairline so that you could then get like, you know, like a centimeter and a half of rat tail. But then there were some, you know, some kids who had longer hair, and they'd come to school and they'd have these rat tails that, like, you know, I think I knew a guy who had a really long rat tail. Al Gore invented the internet. Okay. Yeah, I've heard that before, I'm sure. Chris, does the mini soft cover have the Crusade rules? It sure does. Oh no, don't do this to me. Yes, it does. So this version of the 40K rulebook only comes in the Command Edition. Here you go, Games Workshop. Here's your cheap plug to my 7 viewers. So it has a complete rule. Basically, all they took out was the lore. So everything else is in here. I mean, like the lore and like the army, the fluff, right? Oh God, I remember that. Yeah, weirdly, I only got that in Denmark in the 90s. Yeah, but you know what? The Netherlands is a weird part of the world. You guys really have your shit together there. So you didn't fall for the rat tail craze. It took you like an entire other decade for you guys to fall for the rat tails. That just shows how far ahead you guys are. Or maybe we're looking at rat tails coming back. Yeah, I could grow a rat tail now. I'm letting my hair grow. This is the COVID look. This is I haven't had a haircut since April. All right, let's put him down. Although I did go get it trimmed at the end of August because my mom made me, because we were at the family cottage, and my mom was like, "No, you go get a haircut. You look." So all I did was I was like, "Yeah, just trim it a bit." So it needs another trim, clearly. Wonder how that meme traveled the world without the internet. Zines. Remember zines? Does anyone remember zines? Because as soon as the internet came into existence, zines kind of went away. But I can remember, like, I had a subscription to an industrial music zine that was produced by some guy in his garage and mailed out through the postal system, and he would mail me a copy of his zine every 3 months or so, and would talk about like bands like Leather Strip and Skinny Puppy and Nine Inch Nails and Laibach and what are the other insane industrial bands from the 90s that I was really into. Yeah, good times. So The chaps are much better brown, or the spats, I believe, is the proper term for them, is spats. Yes, they are much better brown, definitely. Says the Jank Master in the chat. Denmark is not part of the Netherlands. Oh, come on, man. I don't know. You're in Northern Europe. You're in that part of the world that is, it's an ocean away from me, baby. What do you want me to say? You're across the sea. Frontline Assembly, yeah, Frontline Assembly and Front 242. Front 242 still has one of like the best industrial songs to dance to, which is Tragedy for You, off the album Tyranny for You, or is it Tyranny for You off the album Tragedy for You? I don't know. Yeah, so this is that's how you ordered stuff. Magazines, yeah, Ministry, all those great bands, all the good industrial music that came out of the '90s. When everyone else was rocking out to grunge. Not that I didn't rock out to grunge. But while everyone else was rocking out to grunge, I was like full into like the industrial lifestyle. I was wearing welder's goggles before it was cool. Before steampunk existed, I was walking around wearing welder's goggles. And Nico, who is in the chat, can verify that because he's seen it. I should find a photo. I know that there's a photo on Facebook of me from like, I want to say it was taken in like 93, 92. No. Much earlier than that. It would have been 91. 91 or 92. Probably 92. Because it would have been after military school, but before I moved to Vancouver. So, I was really surprised when I learned that Leather Strip was just some guy living in the middle of nowhere in Denmark. That's how most European, like whenever you hear like a German industrial band or something, and it's like one guy in his garage with an 808 and a bunch of other like machines that make noise. It's so true. Yeah, see, this is true, says Nico. He can verify it. He can verify that my fashion sense in the '90s was streets ahead. No one's gonna argue that. So yeah, so let's go back and take a look at Guile here and see how he's coming along. Guile / Duke Nukem / every other guy with a big yellow cameo. You also had no eyebrows and a top knot. Well, that was the photo I was talking about, Nico. Because I know that photo is on Facebook somewhere of me. I think that was taken in Celeste's living room, and it's me with no eyebrows because I shaved my eyebrows off. And my entire head is shaved except for a patch about here, which goes about 6 inches down the back of my head. And I could put it up into a top knot like this. Streets ahead. No one. My fashion game was on point in the '90s, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. All right. So I basically need to finish his gun, although it looks really good on the screen, but when I look at it here, it's like, oh, it needs to be dry brushed. And I need to finish that hair, and then the leather. So let's finish his leather, because I can do Inquisitor Dosati's, finish off the spats on that too. So I'm taking some skeleton bone, I'm adding it to the leather brown that I already have on my wet palette, and I will blend that with the leather together, the leather strip. And paint the leather on this guy's belt. Jean-Gilles de Nukem? Done. That can be this guy's name. Although I still think I might just go with... I'll probably just end up calling him Jaybird. Or Jailbird. Because the J stands for jail. Because he escaped from a penal planet. He and Riddick. What was the name of the prison planet? Furiosa 359 or something like that. Escape from Butcher Bay. I think that was the video game. That was a great video game. And if you haven't watched Chronicles of Riddick, or Pitch Black, or Riddick, they are guilty pleasure movies. They're guilty pleasure sci-fi movies, and they're fantastic. My most guilty pleasure sci-fi movie is Ice Pirates. And the other day, when I was at Whole Foods, I ran into Ron Perlman, and I should have told him that I was a big fan of Ice Pirates, because I think that was his like first or second movie. But all I said to him was, "Sir, sir," because he was in front of me at the checkout line, and he was checking out as I was putting my stuff on the conveyor to be checked out. And I just looked up, and it's Ron Perlman, and he's wearing a surgical mask, but Ron Perlman has a huge fucking head, so the surgical mask covers like this much of his face, so it's obvious that it's him, right? And he's standing there, and he's got really bad posture. Ron Perlman, if you're watching my stream, proud chest, stand up straight. You've got really bad posture, man, because you're all like, he was all hunched over. I mean, he was paying with a credit card. Maybe that's why he was hunched over, but it was... And I just looked at him, and he looked at me, and as soon as our eyes met, I could see that he realized that I recognized who he was. And I go, "Sir, sir! Oh, I just want to let you know I'm a huge fan." It's the stupidest thing to say, right? To a famous person. I'm a huge fan. I said that to Elvis Costello, too, when I met him at the museum. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about all the famous people I've met that I just run into on the streets. I met Elvis Costello at the museum. I met George Lucas at a art gallery in San Francisco. I met Ron Perlman at Whole Foods on Saturday? No. Yeah, Saturday. Yeah, I didn't get a photo with Ron Perlman. I got a photo with George Lucas. That wasn't one I was going to let pass. So if you're looking for photos of me on the internet, and you find the one of me with no eyebrows and a top knot, just know there's also another photo out there of me on the internet, standing beside George Lucas, making George Lucas look very uncomfortable. Anyways. Let's finish the metallics on the gun. Let's paint the gun. So... Oh yeah, I didn't say anything to Mads. He was just coming out of the Four Seasons in Yorkville. I think that's why I've run into a lot of celebrities, but most of the celebrities I don't run into in Yorkville. I've run into a few celebrities in Yorkville. Because I used to work near there, and whenever they had the big film festival on, like when I would take my afternoon walks at work after lunch, I'd walk down and you just see them, the famous people. Woo! Your new gods, worship them, as opposed to the old gods. But you know what? The old gods get results. Ask my man Odin. All right, so I didn't say anything to Matt. Oh no, I did say. Did I say something like I can't even remember. I probably was just like, "Hey, you're cool. I saw you in that movie where you just killed all those guys about those Vikings." But I should have... I wish now, in hindsight, I had told Ron Perlman that after I'd said, "I'm a really big fan," I should have said, "Motherfucker, you were in Ice Pirates!" Because that is a guilty pleasure movie. If you've ever seen Ice Pirates... If you haven't seen Ice Pirates, go see Ice Pirates. It will not disappoint. But he was also in, like, City of Lost Children. He was also in Alien Resurrection, which is another guilty pleasure movie. It's by far not the best Alien movie. But it's still one of my favorite sci-fi movies to watch. And a lot of it has to do with Ron Perlman being in it and just being awesome in it. And he was Beast in Beauty and the Beast, which I never really got into that TV show. I don't think there was enough action in it. It was probably a little bit too romantic and sappy for me. So I never got into that show. But I'm trying to think what other movies Mr. Perlman has been in. I've watched all of what was the biker show? Sons of Anarchy? Yeah, I watched all of. I think no, I don't think I've watched the last season of that. Whatever. I'm sure it's on Netflix. Look at these janky shoulder pads. It's almost as if the sculptor sculpted on a set of shoulder pads and then sculpted these over top of it. Because you can see there's kind of like a secondary pad in here. Or maybe that was by design. Maybe... Oh, I see what he did. So he sculpted the shoulder pads on and then added these large flares at the top. He was like, you know what? Those shoulder pads are not 57 Chevy enough. They need to have big wings on them. And I'm thinking this is probably a Bob Naismith model. Yeah. And he needs things. So let's see what's going on in this Chizat. Tell them how you almost stole Robin Williams' credit card number. Yeah, so Robin Williams came into the game when I was working at Games Workshop in the Eaton Center. Before the second time I was fired from Games Workshop, I was working at the Games Workshop store here, and Robin Williams came in, and I sold him a bunch of stuff, and then I printed a duplicate of his credit card receipt. His full number, I don't think his full number of his credit card was on the receipt, but I had an impression of his actual credit card, and it was just to prove to people that Robin Williams was in there. Although, coincidentally enough, there were a whole bunch of regular dudes, like the regular guys that would hang out at a Games Workshop store, in the store. Were there, so they got to meet him too. So I was kind of a kick for a bunch of us. And Ash was there. And he will back up everything on the story and appropriate parts of my story for his own stories. Because that's just the way it works. Right. Where's my gold? Let's see here. Where does a boy and his dog lie on the guilty pleasure movie rank? I haven't seen it, Torben. I'm aware of the movie. I'm familiar with the movie. I've never had an opportunity or never had the wherewithal to watch it. One day, I'll put it on a list of movies I should probably watch before I expire. And definitely A Boy and His Dog would be one of them. Like I said, I'm familiar with it. I've never seen the film. Ice Pirates is fun and horrible. It's horribly fun. Absolutely. Jankmatch says, I met Pauly Shore super high, taking huge bites out of a candy bar as he was paying for it in a Manhattan variety store. Are you sure that was Pauly Shore? Here's a funny story. This happened to me. This would have been back in the late 80s. I would have been in my early teens. Probably, I want to say I probably would have been about 14 or 15 at the time. And I went down to the arcade, and if you know Toronto, the arcades downtown on Yonge Street in the 80s were basically places where you not only went to buy video games, places where you went to go get beaten up, places that you went to get to buy drugs, pay, it was downtown. It was a much grittier Yonge Street strip back in those days. It's been regentrified, much like Times Square in New York has been regentrified. So there you go. You gave him a couple gold bracelets. He's obviously got some jewelry. He knows how to rock it. So I'm in one of the arcades downtown, and I'm just kind of hanging out, playing video games, right? And I look over, and I see this guy, and I'm like, motherfucker, that's George Carlin. And I'm looking at this guy, and I'm like, that's totally George Carlin. Right age, he would have had, his hair was white and back in a ponytail. At the time, they were shooting Shining Time Station, which is a kids show, and it was shot here in Toronto, and I think they played it on PBS in the States, and he played the, train station guy, Conductor Bill or whatever, right? So it was also totally reasonable that George Carlin would be in Toronto at that time, because I knew that they shot this, and I'm like, that's fucking George Carlin. And I'm staring at him, and he starts staring back at me. And I'm like, oh shit, George Carlin and I just made eye contact. And I'm thinking well, how do I approach, how do I go and just say hi to him? Because I'm young, so I'm shy, right? And I'm just staring at this guy, and I'm playing my video games, but I'm looking up and I'm seeing him every now and then. And every time I look up, he kind of looks over at me, and he's just wandering around the arcade. And I'm like, what the fuck is George Carlin doing in an arcade in Toronto? And so finally, I think after like the 5th or 6th time that like I look at him and make eye contact, he comes over to me. And I'm like, motherfucker, George Carlin's coming over to talk to me while I play this video game. This is amazing. So I'm standing there and I look up and he comes over to me and he goes, $5 and I'll suck your dick. And I realized very quickly, this is not George Carlin. This is just some old dude in the arcade who wants to pay me money to suck my dick. And that is the story of how I did not meet George Carlin. And I think on that note, guys, I'm going to call the stream there today. Yeah. So he's essentially done. Like I'm not going super crazy. I need to do his eyes, but I'm not going to go super crazy town on my Rogue Trader guys. I just sort of want to get them done in a way that feels like how I probably would have painted them 30 years ago if I was as good a painter as I am today. So that's 2 more in the bank. So that's 5 Inquisitor or 5 Rogue Trader models down. Tomorrow I may switch up the stream and paint something plastic, some fantastic plastic. Because if you watched yesterday's stream, you know that the worm has turned, and I'm at a point where I want to start painting some contemporary 40K models. So I've got a whole lot of fantastic plastic here I want to do. So I might prime this guy today so that I can paint him tomorrow. And this is the Space Marine Chaplain on a bike. So that may be tomorrow's stream. Or on tomorrow's stream, I may pick another random Inquisitor. I keep saying Inquisitor. Another random Rogue Trader model to paint. So I've got, I'll just switch back over to the master shot real quick for you and zoom out a bit. So one of these guys, I'll paint one of these guys tomorrow maybe. Maybe I'll paint this guy, the Space Punk. Let's take him out and put him down so that if I am going to paint a Rogue Trader model tomorrow on stream, it will be the Space Punk. And that's going to be a lot of skin. So you get to watch me paint a lot of skin. I don't know if that's good. So let's see. Quick recap of the chat, and then I think we're going to shut down for the day. So if Ice Pirates is other Ash good, I have to see that. Okay. Let's see. Here we go. Oh man, if you need to watch a wonderfully kitschy, weird 80s post-apocalyptic movie, you gotta watch it. Yeah, like I said, I'm familiar with it. I've just not seen it. And Mad Max is basically the main ingredients for the whole Frolic franchise. My introduction to Young Street is from SCTV. Hey, you want to go downtown and buy records? Because yeah, that's what we used to do, man. Even the Bare Naked Ladies have a song where they talk about going downtown to check out the late night record shop, and they're talking about the fact that on Young Street, just north of Dundas, there was A&A Records, Sam the Record Man, and then later on HMV opened a record store down there. But you also had Sunrise across the street, and I believe Cheapies was just down the street. There was Cheapies Records, and they would all stay open till like midnight. So you could go down there at like 11 o'clock on a Friday night and go record shopping. It's fantastic. And we're not talking about like small record stores. We're talking about like big, massive, like we took over an old bank and the building beside it and made a huge record store. Those are good days, man. And I think when I said earlier in the chat when I was like, you know what I miss? I miss video stores. I miss record stores. There's still record stores here in the city, but it's not the same. It's not what it was, right? So yeah, there's that fantastic SCTV skit, which is a parody of a famous Canadian movie called Going Down the Road, which is about a bunch of guys from Newfoundland who drive to Toronto, and there's a whole section in that movie of them wandering around Yonge Street in the 70s and like just being amazed at all the nastiness, right? Because even when I was a kid in the 80s, Yonge Street was already starting to change and get a little bit better. The city right now is unrecognizable. It's so regentrified. But yeah, so an old coworker of mine bumped into Christopher Walken on Yonge Street. He said, "Hey, it's you." To which Walken responded in his best Walken, "Hey, it's me." And then they parted ways. Yeah, I've had encounters with celebrities where it's just I think I did that with Woody Allen. And he was on Hazelton in Yorkville, and he was walking up Hazelton. So Hazelton's like a residential street that comes out of Yorkville, and he was walking up Hazelton, and I was leaving work and coming through the alleyway, and I turned onto Hazleton and I saw Woody Allen with some other guy I didn't recognize, and all I did was this. I went, "Hey," because that's all I could do. And he kind of looked at me and went, and then I was like, and then I just kept walking because what am I going to say to Woody Allen? You know, I was like, "Hey, man," what would I say to Woody Allen? I don't know. All right. Anyways, guys, so that's going to be the stream for today. Hope you enjoyed it. A little bit of painting, a lot of retarded banter, and that's what you get here on the Eternal Chronicles, apparently. So tune in tomorrow, same work time, same work channel. See you on the flippity flop if you're watching the replay on the streams and whatever. And you know what I need? Yeah, I need to paint this guy too. I keep forgetting my Inquisitor's Mr. Butlatron, his robot. But anyways, we'll see y'all tomorrow.